whoever I'm with.
Hello there, mighty companions.
That's what it tells.
This is Earl Purdy. I want to welcome you to A Course in Miracles here on Facebook Live. And we're going to continue to talk about what the Course in Miracles teaches about how to let go of fear and conflict. How do you handle fear and conflict? How do you let go of fear and conflict? We're going to continue with that. And before we get into it, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much. You, especially you. Tell you how much I love you. For sure. Thanks for being here. Thanks for learning with me. We are going to be on page 29 in the Course in Miracles text, page 29, paragraph 5, in the section called Fear and Conflict. The section called Fear and Conflict. So it's going to be on page 29 in the text, the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. I'm just getting this up so I can monitor you. And I want to ask you to take a breath right now. Kind of relax. And ask yourself, okay, fear and conflict. I'm about to get the answer to how to deal with fear and conflict. I'm about to receive the answer to how to resolve fear and conflict. And then ask yourself, is that important to you? Is that important to you to learn how to do that? Let me get this up here. I'm about to tell you what the Course in Miracles teaches about how to get rid of fear and conflict. I'm about to teach you from A Course in Miracles how to rid yourself of fear and conflict according to the Course in Miracles. If you're somewhere where you can safely do it, close your eyes. You need not believe the ideas. You need not accept the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe, or you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. Some of the ideas you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas in the Course in Miracles you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas in the Course in Miracles you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas in the Course in Miracles, do you know that some of the ideas in the Course in Miracles may startle you? Some of these ideas may startle you. Some of these ideas may startle you. Do you know that you're not being asked to analyze the ideas? You're not being asked to judge the ideas. You're not being asked to judge the ideas. You're not being asked to judge the ideas. You're not being asked to analyze the ideas. So what is it? It's going to show you that the ideas are true. How do you know these ideas in A Course in Miracles are true? How will you know that these ideas are true? Their use, using the ideas, using the ideas, using the ideas, using the ideas, using the ideas will show you that the ideas are true. I'm the divine repetition teacher. I'm the divine repetition teacher. I teach through repetition. The Course in Miracles teaches through repetition, not analyzation. The Course in Miracles teaches through repetition. So their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. So like I said, we're going to be on page 29 in the text, Fear and Conflict, chapter 2. And it starts out by saying, fear is always a sign of strain. Okay, so that means wherever I'm feeling fear in my life right now, that I'm under strain. So fear is strain. If you're feeling a strain, sometimes people will tell me, I'm not afraid of anything. I don't feel any fear. Do you ever feel any strain? Do you ever feel any conflict? That's fear. So it says fear is always a sign of strain. So now it's going to tell us where the fear comes from. He says, fear arises whenever what you want conflicts with what you do. Every time what you want to do conflicts with what you do, you are making yourself afraid. You are increasing your fear. Does that mean you're increasing your fear every time what you want to do conflicts with what you're doing? You are making according to the Course, which you don't have to believe, says you're making yourself afraid. So when I read that, I kind of paused a minute to see what areas of my life I was making myself feel some strain in. Because I knew at that point I had just identified the part of my life that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So he says the situation arises in two ways. There are two ways that you create fear for yourself in any situation. You do things one after another that conflicts. You keep doing one thing after another that conflicts. The Course says you are making yourself afraid, that you're increasing your fear. Wow. So if you do conflicting things one after the other, or if you do a lot of conflicting things at the same time, he says, well, if you are conflicted, you're going to have behavior that conflicts. So you're going to have conflicted behavior when you're doing things simultaneously or successively that you don't want to do. It's going to give you so much conflicted behavior that at one point it's going to become intolerable. You're going to create so much conflict when you keep on doing things you don't want to do that at some point it's going to become intolerable. And the Course says the reason why it becomes intolerable when you keep on doing one thing after another that you don't want to do is that the part of your mind that wants to do something other than what you're doing is outraged. So you got a lot of outrageous people walking the street. You got a lot of people that's in outrage because there's a part of their mind that wants to do one thing that they're doing, and then there's another part of their mind that wants to do another thing. There's one part of their mind that wants to do one thing. There's another part of their mind that wants to do another thing. They're doing what they don't want to do, one thing after another that they don't want to do, and that's creating a strain. And the Course says that's causing you to be afraid, and then your behavior becomes intolerable. And you start to experience people seeing you as intolerable. I love how A Course in Miracles just with a lot of logic and reasoning, just runs it down. So that's the first way you make yourself afraid. Is that you do one thing after another that you don't want to do. One thing after another that you don't want to do. You do one thing after another that you don't want to do. You with one person after another that you don't want to be with. Sometimes we see one person after another that we don't really enjoy. One person after another. Of course, whenever you're doing that, you're increasing your fear. You're going to get to the point that it's intolerable. And then there's another way, he says, you're increasing your fear and conflict is you behave the way you think you should. But you really don't want to. I'm acting like I like you, but I really don't. I'm being quiet, and I like to express myself even more. Or I'm expressing myself a lot, and I think I should be quiet. At some point, I'm behaving. Like most of the time, a lot of times when I teach, I'm always behaving the way I think I should. So on one hand, I'm creating peace when I teach. On the other hand, I'm creating strain for myself when I teach. Because I like to be a lot wilder and freer than I am. But, so I hold back because I think I should. So, since I know that's what I'm doing, then it makes me conscious of it. And then I'm not a victim of it. Because I know I'm the one that's making myself afraid. Now, people will say, well, just go ahead and be yourself. You know, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's not even the point. The point is, as long as I'm doing something that I don't want to do, and as long as I am behaving the way I think I should, I'm increasing my fear. That's the lesson. Like he said, don't try to correct, like he said last week, don't try to correct at the level of behavior. I'm not going to behave with you all other than how I feel like it, or I'll just be increasing my fear. Even if I think I should be behaving more freely. That still, as long as there's any conflict about that, then I know that I'm making myself afraid. So now I can be more peace, have more peace about my fear because I see where it's coming from. Where I used to would have blamed you for it. I would have said there was something that you needed to do differently for me to be okay. Now I go, no, if I'm doing one thing after another that I don't want to do, and if I'm behaving the way I think I should, but I don't really want to, then he says, what happens when you do that is you have consistent behavior. Like my behavior is consistent because I'm behaving the way I think I should, whether I want to or not. So my behavior is consistent, but it also brings up a lot of strain. Right? I'm being consistent in my behavior under a lot of strain. I'm holding myself back and behaving as I think I should, but it's giving me a lot of strain. Because in both cases, the way you're behaving is out of accord with the way that you really want to behave. So what that does is it results in a situation in which you're doing what you don't want to do. How much are you doing what you don't want to do? How much are you with someone you don't want to be with? How much are you going to a job you don't want to go to? How much are you in a house you wish you wasn't living in? How many of you got a social circle that you really don't want? In other words, how often are you making yourself afraid and in conflict? Or let's work it back the other way. Now, I know some of you are going to say, I have no fear, I have no conflict, everything is peaceful. Great. I'm talking to the ones that's having some. Okay? All right, I'm not talking to you then. But I'm talking to the people that's tuning in that do have some areas of fear and do have some areas of conflict. They do want to change some things. Everybody else is on the maintenance program. Okay? Everybody else is on the maintenance program. So the ego, my wrong voice would tell me that if I'm with you and I'm acting the way that I think I should without really wanting to, that somehow or another how you're acting or how you're behaving is having something to do with how I'm feeling. The truth is I'm feeling a strain and I'm feeling conflict because the way I'm behaving and the way I want to behave is out of accord. And so he says, if you keep doing stuff that you don't want to do, if you keep doing one thing after another that you don't want to do, and if you keep on behaving as you think you should, and you keep on doing one thing after another that you do not want to do, and you keep on behaving as you think you should, this arouses you. How many of y'all ever been aroused? Okay. Then it arouses you when you're doing what you don't want to do. and you start to feel like you're being coerced. I'm coerced to go to work tomorrow. I'm coerced to come back to this home. I'm coerced. So the more you're not doing what you want to do and making yourself afraid, the more you're going to feel like you're being forced to be a way you don't really want to be. And then what usually happens is rage. You keep on doing what you don't want to do, doing one thing after another that you don't want to do, and behaving the way you think you should in some area, even if you don't want to, sooner or later, you're going to be expressing rage. That's why sometimes people respond way out of proportion to the thing that's happened, because they've been behaving the way they think they should for a long, long time, and to the point they can't stand it anymore, and you just happen to touch them on the shoulder and they go off. It's because they have not been expressing what's really going on inside themselves. They've been behaving the way they think they should with you without really wanting to do it. And whenever you feel angry, do you know whenever you feel angry, whenever you feel rage, the Course says, I'll tell you what you're doing. You're projecting. I feel this rage. I feel this anger. I feel this judgment. I feel this criticism. I'm doing what I don't want to do. I'm behaving the way I think I should. And then I'm going to take this rage and project it on you. Now I'm mad at you. Now I'm judging you. Now I'm criticizing you. Now I'm telling you what's wrong with you. Because I have not been honest. I have not been expressing what I really wanted and what's really going on with me. I've been behaving as I think I should without really wanting to. And I've been doing one thing after another in this situation or with this person that I don't want to do. So we have a lot of rage all the time. And we call it, we are having issues in our relationship. And I'm not talking, and don't fool yourself to think that I'm just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about any relationship, not just a romantic relationship. Because I've heard people tell me, well, I'm not in a special romantic relationship, so this doesn't have anything to do with me. Oh, you got relationships with everything. You got relationships with everything. The Course in Miracles says, take me slow, do me slow, do me slow, do me slow, do me slow. And so the reason that, do you know the reason that you have fear? Take fear in any area that you have it on. He says the reason that you have fear is because you haven't made up your mind. So wherever you feel fear go, I haven't made up my mind about that. I have fear and conflict over here. I haven't made up my mind about this. I have fear and conflict in my relationships. I have not made up my mind. I have fear financially. I have not made up my mind. I have relationship fear. I have not made up my mind. I have spiritual fear. I have not made up my mind. So instead of saying, I'm afraid of you, I'll say to you, I haven't made up my mind about you. Because that's what rage is. I haven't made up my mind about you. I haven't made up my mind. That's why I'm attacking you. That's why I'm judging you. I haven't made up my mind about you. And what is the decision I need to make about you? It's that I want to love you and give you peace and support and forgiveness. See, I haven't made up my mind. So instead of saying I'm afraid, say I haven't made up my mind about my finances. Instead of I'm afraid around my finances or my relationship or my job or whatever that is, I haven't made up my mind. That's like a cooler way to say I'm afraid. I haven't made up my mind. If I'm afraid to teach, I haven't made up my mind about what I want to teach. I can sit here in peace because I made up my mind to teach. Right? I'd be in conflict if I hadn't made up my mind. So wherever you're in conflict, does that mean you have not made up your mind? That's what it means. Whatever area of your life you're in conflict with right now, you haven't made up your mind. And in any relationship that you have right now that you don't have peace in, you have not made up your mind. There's something in there that you're doing that you don't want to do, or you are behaving like you think you should, and you know you don't want to. It's not that person's fault. But if you keep on doing what you don't want to do long enough, you're going to feel coerced, and then you're going to get angry, and then you're going to go off, and you're going to project all that anger onto the outer. And there could be another person. Somebody attacks me, I go in my mind, I wonder what they're feeling guilty about. Because that's why they attacked. Because they have some unconscious guilt going on about something. So you go, what are you feeling so guilty about? You're coming home raising hell for no reason at all. What did you do before you came home? have you ever heard of banana split? Well, the Course in Miracles says we can have a mind split. And a mind split is going to be when you haven't made up your mind and you're doing what you don't want to do and behaving as you think you should. He says then your behavior is going to become erratic. So where does erratic behavior come from? It comes from a person who haven't made up their mind. Why haven't they made up their mind? Because they're doing what they don't want to do, or they're doing one thing after another that they don't want to do, or they're behaving the way they think they should, but they really don't want to. So that's why if I want to have peace in a relationship, what I'm trying to do with the person I'm in a relationship with is how much can I support their peace and how much can I support them doing what they want to do within their relationship with me. So when I'm in a personal relationship with someone, I'm just coming up with as many ways as I can to free that person and to support that person doing what they want to do, because if they're doing what they want to do, then they're not going to be in fear and conflict. If they're not in fear and conflict, they're not going to feel coerced, and so they're not going to be mad. They're not going to be giving me a hard time. So I practice the truth out of pure selfishness. I do. I admit, I practice the truth out of self-interest. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? Letting you do what you want to do, that's less for me to be concerned with. My job gets easier if I let you do what you want to do in peace. My job only becomes hard when I try to get you to act out a fantasy for me that you don't want to act out, which will make you be doing something you don't want to do, and then I wonder why the relationship's so lousy. I'm trying to make this person do what they don't want to do. That's going to make them feel coerced. Sooner or later, they're going to go off. They're going to have totally erratic behavior. So I don't even expect them to be consistent when I'm not letting them do what they want to do. They're not going to be consistent unless they're doing what they want to do. And I know I'm the one going off a lot of times trying to make them do what I want them to do. So I'm actually creating my own attack. But that's funny, to realize that our definition of love is somebody who's willing to do whatever we want them to do, whether they want to do it or not. If you do it, even if you don't want to do it, then we call that love. If I get you to sacrifice for me and you're willing to sacrifice for me, then you love me. So there's going to be a lot of people celebrating how many years they've sacrificed together this week. And there are going to be a lot of people celebrating them how much they fully appreciate each other this week. So I admit, you be in a friendship with me, I'm going to manipulate you. And I'm going to manipulate you by doing nothing. Not trying to manipulate you at all. Because the more you do what you want to do, the less anger and fear and conflict you have, the more peace you're going to feel. And the more peace you feel, then the less possibility you're going to want to give me a hard time and attack me. The Course in Miracles is practical. I don't know how everybody else uses it, but man, I use it in my everyday spirit. Then he says, now correcting at the behavioral level, what's going to happen? He says, well, you're going to shift the error from the first, which is doing one thing after another you don't want to do, to the second type, behaving as you think you should without really wanting to, which is what he says most people do. They just behave the way, they act the way they think they should act. And right now, what you said, that there's a part of you that's behaving in this very moment the way you think you should behave. Okay, all right, okay. Is there any part of you in any area of your life other than here that you're behaving the way you think you should without really wanting to? Is there any area of your life right now where you're just doing the same thing over and over that you don't want to do? Okay, so now you know where your fear is coming from. Now you know where notice that none of those explanations called another person's name. Yep. Y'all notice that? There wasn't anything about that explanation that said, get your mama to change, your daughter to change, your brother to change, your boss to change. Nothing about a real answer is going to involve anybody else, and that's why we go unconscious. The Course says the reason why we go unconscious is that we're always looking for an answer that's about what somebody else needs to do in order for us to be happy. So unless I tell you how to change your mama, your sister, your brother, your job, your da-da-da, then the ego part of us, it has a hard time staying conscious because it doesn't want to be 100% responsible for its own happiness. So anybody that's saying you responsible, there's a part of the mind that automatically goes blank on that. Does that make sense to everybody what I'm saying? Let me check in. You hearing me online? Okay.
Can you elaborate on that again?
On what?
what I just didn't hear.
I didn't hear it either.
Going unconscious.
Right. So they volunteered to give us a demonstration of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's so sweet of you. That's so sweet of you. You went unconscious when I was talking about unconsciousness. And then you asked me to tell you what you were unconscious of, but if you were conscious of it, you wouldn't be asking me. Right? So that meant just by you saying it and me saying, like, what you talking about? What did I say? Right? One thing you learn as a Course in Miracles student is that everything the Course in Miracles is teaching you, you're doing it while it's teaching you. To me, that's what's so powerful about. A lot of stuff people learn, they can argue. You can argue with it. That's fine. Doesn't make any difference because really what I believe doesn't have anything to do with the ultimate truth of anything anyway. It's just only my ego that thinks I need to agree for something to be real. That's just my ego to begin with. Who am I to be the arbiter of what should be true or not? Right? So the Course is saying to me, Earl, if you want to know where your fear is coming from, you need to get in touch, brother. Well, what are you doing? Where are you doing one thing after another in your life right now that you really don't want to do? And where are you behaving as you think you should? Not saying what you really want to say. Where are you behaving in a way that's opposite to the way you feel inside? And the Course says to us that if you just behave the way you think you should without really wanting to, that will not obliterate your fear. It won't get rid of your fear. Behaving the way you think you should without really wanting to won't get rid of your fear. Now he says, now let's leap to another level. Then the Course goes, do you know it's possible to reach a state in which you bring your mind under the guidance of your true innocence, your true self, your true greater self? I said again. Do you know it's possible to reach a state of mind that you bring your guidance under your greater self, your God self, your divine self? In other words, there's a way for you to reach a state that you allow the love in you and the truth in you to guide every single thing you do. How would you like the truth and the love in you to guide everything you do without conscious effort? Without conscious effort, it's going to get to a point that I'm going to let Spirit take over in my life without me stopping and going, okay, Spirit, would you take over in my life right now? I'm going to give this to you, Spirit. Like I had to remember to tell myself that, right? So I would go, okay, let me remember to tell, okay, let me give it to God. Let me give it to a higher power. Let me give it up to my higher self. Okay, let me study. Let me meditate, until I can give it up to love and give it up to my greater self. But it's possible for you to reach a state that you bring your mind under the guidance of God with no conscious effort. It just becomes so natural that it doesn't take any effort on you for you to give up whatever you're going through to the part of you that knows the answer and the part of you that knows the truth. Notice I said the part of you. I'm still not putting you in the hands of anybody else. This is a cult. I'm the pitifulest cult leader that ever lived because all I'm doing is telling you you are free, follow your own heart, do what it is you really want to do. That doesn't sound like somebody's trying to control you because if I was trying to control you, then I'd have to go to work and I'm too lazy. I just don't have time. I really don't, and the rewards is not worth it. It's just not worth it. Like what I'm going to get in return isn't worth the effort it would take to try to control you. Right? So it's impractical. Trying to control is impractical. The Course says that people who are trying to control are very afraid and they're trying to do it on their own, so they're trying to figure out their way that they can control you so that they can feel safe. I'm afraid of you, and how can I feel safe around you unless I have some control over you? Because I feel afraid. So fearful people are controlling people. So the more I can get a person to feel safe, the less they're going to try to control me. And again, I don't want to be controlled. I want to be free. I'm selfish enough to not try to control you because I'm looking out for me. The Course in Miracles uses the law of self-preservation, you looking out for yourself, and then uses it in a way that benefits everybody. See, me wanting to have peace with my freedom, notice that every solution I'm telling you is all about me supporting your freedom. Who cares what my motivation is if I'm doing the right thing? If I'm hungry, you don't like me, but you feed me anyway, I'm so glad to eat that food. Right? It doesn't matter what your motivation is if you're doing what I want you to do and it's benefiting me. Who cares why you're doing it? I'm hungry. You just fed me. I don't care why you did it. This is good stuff, isn't it? And I want you to try to apply this to something that's going on in your life. Is there anybody in here that has a situation that they have fear and conflict in that they wouldn't mind sharing so I can show you how to work this in a real life situation? Anybody got anything? That's the problem I get teaching so many gurus and so many masters. They just don't have any of the issues that regular people have. Yes, thank you.
Well, I was thinking of a couple of examples.
Okay.
With the first one where it's
And
like,
speak loud for me, please,
Yeah.
baby, so everybody can hear you online.
where it's doing conflicting things,
Mhm.
either like simultaneously or successively. Like I was thinking about that in terms of like in the past, even with when I was still in addiction, it was like, okay, I want to be sober, I want to be out of this, but I'm like saying I want this, but I'm actually using. Or I'm trying, but then I go use again, right? But more recent examples would be like the way my relationship to money, right? It's like, hey, I want to have a different relationship with money, but then I'll kind of like still do the exact same thing of like the way I spend or not paying attention to how much I earn. And so it's like, and so of course that's going to be an area of my life I have fear because I haven't decided, because I could either decide like, hey, I don't care, money comes, money goes, or I could be in the other side where it's like, okay, I do care and I'm going to pay attention, and that would take away my fear. It's not really at the behavioral level of, do I save enough money or not? It would be, do I decide what I want that relationship to look like? And as long as it's conflicting, I'm going to have conflicting behavior.
Thank you.
Cool.
Boom, boom. That's what I mean by I'm using the principles and I'm applying them to every area of our life. The Course in Miracles talks about that over and over again. He calls it the transfer of truth or the generalizability. That anything that's real and truthful you can apply to any and everything without exception. One exception that makes it not the truth. It's something that we're making up. Okay, so that's the key thing is not whether or not you save more money, but whether or not you make the decision that you're going to do what you want to do in regard to your financial situation. And some people make the decision, I don't care if I pay another bill and my credit goes down to 2. That's a decision. And they'll have peace about not having any credit and being broke because they wanted to do what they did. So the Course is telling me now here's something else that's even deeper than that. The Course says it is possible for you to put your mind under the guidance of a higher power, but you haven't developed that willingness yet. You're not willing to give it up to something greater than yourself yet. He says your higher self, the Holy Spirit, your greater self, your spiritual self, your invisible teacher, it says here's a characteristic of the Creator. The Creator cannot ask you to do more than you're willing to do. So I know that there's no one that's ever asking me to do more than I'm willing to do that really loves me. Someone that really loves me is never asking me to do more than I'm willing to do. So the Course says, now, what is it that keeps people from having the strength to do something? What is it that keeps you from having the strength to do it differently? He says, well, what keeps you from having the strength to do it differently is you haven't made an undivided decision. Now, notice how it keeps coming back to that. That if you want to have the strength to do something, like people say, I want to make a change, but I have a hard time getting going. He says, well, the way that you give yourself the strength to do something is to make an undivided decision to do it. Notice it says undivided. Look, I want to do it and I'm going to do it. If you go, I want to do it and I really want to do it and I see I really want to do it, you will do it. You will have the strength to do anything that you make an undivided decision about. You won't have the strength to do something that you're behaving as you think you should, but you really don't want to, or you're doing one thing after another that you don't really want to do. You won't have the strength to do anything. That's why people who are fearful and drained don't have any energy to create anything or do anything because they haven't made any kind of an undivided decision. So if I can't forgive somebody, it has nothing to do with what they did. If I can't forgive you, I haven't made an undivided decision to forgive you. If I'm talking to a person and they're coming up with every reason why they shouldn't forgive somebody, and then they want me to convince them to forgive their mother, their father, or whoever it was that offended them, I will not do that. I will not do that. And I tell them I won't do it. I want to work with someone who's made an undivided decision that they want to work and do it another way. Because the person that's made an undivided decision they're going to do it another way, they're not going to fight you. right? So that's why you want, as much as possible, what you want to do with the people around you is ask them what they want. Ask the people around you what they want. Ask them what they want. And if there's any way possible for you to give it to them, support them in having it, making them feel innocent about it, provided it's nothing harmful to themselves or anybody else, then take your script, put it over to the side, and support them in doing what it is they want to do as much as possible. And they won't be in conflict, they won't be in a strain, they won't have a lot of rage and have a lot of anger and project on you. That's what he's telling us. Let me make this practical, Purdy. So the Course says the strength, where does strength come from? From your what kind of decision?
Undivided.
From your undivided decision. What is it that's the truth about the will of God, the will of love? The Course says there's no strain in doing God's will. That when you're really following your higher guidance, you will not feel like it's a strain. So if you're following your guidance, you won't feel like you're doing something that you don't want to do, and you'll no longer feel like you're being asked to do one thing after another you don't want to do. So if your guidance comes from God, if your guidance is coming from love, if your guidance is coming from spirit, how can you tell? You will not feel a strain. So,
you know what I see in front of me right now? My to-do list. It's an absolute manifestation of a divided mind.
that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that everyone that's listening to me that's hearing this will be thinking about the areas of their own life that they are examining as a result of what I'm teaching. If not, you're just going to go to sleep. You just stop, don't even waste your time. Unless you can take what I'm teaching and put it in some type of a situation in your life, why should you stay conscious? You're not thinking that it's going to help you get out of anything, right? If I was trapped at the bottom of a well and I was wondering how to get out, and I wanted to get out the bottom of the well, I'm listening. I'm listening. Well, do what? 3 inches to the left, as quick as I can. 3 inches. If you really believe what I was teaching was going to really help you and get you out of the situation that you're in conflict in right now, you'd be so riveted to every word that's coming out of the Course in Miracles, I couldn't even stop you. Unless you still want to keep going through what you're going through, unless you want to keep going through what you're going through, unless you want to keep going through what you're going through, because what you're going through right now that you're faking like you really want an answer to, you're getting some kind of a payoff out of it. You're getting some kind of a payoff out of it. You're getting some kind of payoff out of it that you're not ready to let go of yet. That's why you're not listening, because you're getting some kind of payoff out of it, payoff from the thing that you say you want to get out of. And your mind is split because you're saying you want out of it, but you really don't want out of it. So you are just behaving the way you think you should, even though you really don't want to. So that's making you afraid and making you go off on everybody, and you wonder why people run as soon as they see you coming. It's not a mystery. It's not a mystery. All beings on this plane tend to have physical bodies. So it's not about me trying to get your body or wanting your body. It's a surplus of bodies. There's more bodies than I could ever get around to. And the bodies have the same parts. All the bodies pretty much have the same parts. They're just in different shapes and sizes. Right? Yep. The female body, or what's called the female body, has similar parts, and male bodies have similar parts. And the only thing that's different is the color, the shapes, the sizes of the physical bodies. And so it's not getting a body isn't a big deal to me like it used to be, because there's so many of them. So it's like there's plenty of bodies, and then anybody that the Course has already told me the Holy Spirit would send me whatever it was that I thought I needed, as long as I wouldn't use it to stay in the body and stay in separation and stay in fear. So all my needs at the physical level can be met by spirit, no matter even my fantasies, provided I won't use them to stay unconscious, to stay in fear, to stay in separation. So studying the Course doesn't mean that you're going to give up the pleasures of the body, because your body isn't hoping for any pleasure. It's not your body that's getting turned on by anything or anybody. Your body is not responsible for anything that you're feeling. I'm going, wow, that's deep. So what are you doing with your body? Well, if you're behaving with your body the way you think you should without really wanting to, you're attacking your body, and that's what creates ailments and illnesses of the body. It's coming from using your body in ways you don't want to. And your body is your whole life. It's not just your physical body. I'm talking about your whole perception of your experience. That's your body. right? So if I'm hating myself or I'm in fear and conflict, then it's going to affect my body, and I'll call it my life is full of drama. My life is full of problems. My life is full of drama. My life is full of problems. That's just the application of the laws of God by a mind that isn't practicing the truth. You're misapplying the laws of love. You have a mind that's not practicing the truth, and that gives you all the problems that you think you have right now. So the Course is saying if you're listening to God, you can tell because what you'll be asked to do will not be a strain for you. And why won't it be a strain? He says because you want it too. If you say, Earl, I want to take you to an ice cream shop, and then I go, well, I want to go with you, well, then there's no strain for either one of us because I want to do it too. So strain comes from what? Doing what you don't want to do with who you don't want to do it with. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow, that's why I'm doing a lot of things by myself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Except sometimes I don't even want to do what I want to do, right? That's what he's saying, even with yourself. That's why I don't try to limit, as best I can, I try to free everybody around me so that they can see what it feels like to feel innocent about being who they really are and being enough just as they are. So I go out of my way not to try to get you to be anything different from the way you are in order for me to be in a relationship with you. But that can come off to people if they don't know what that is, as if you don't care about them. They're so used to people messing in their business and telling them what to do and trying to script them and trying to get them to act out their fantasies that when you're a person that's expressing real love, which means you need do nothing but appreciate, then people who are not aware of love, I'm telling you, they're going to think you don't love them, and they're going to think that they're not important to you because they don't know that real love is somebody being in your life, letting you be and supporting you doing what you really want to do in your heart and following your path and not trying to condemn you for the things you do. See, so a person who really loves you is going to look like they're not doing anything a lot of times. Wow. But I'm so used to somebody trying to change me in order for them to be happy, me trying to change them in order for me to be happy, them trying to change me in order for them to be happy. We were creating conflict and fear and strain for each other. And so then we had arguments a lot because we were projecting on each other because we weren't really being honest and doing what we really wanted to do or saying what we really want to say without attacking each other, without attacking each other. I want to be able to tell you what's really going on inside of me without you attacking me and me attacking you. I want to be able to share. That's my definition of love. If I want to test whether I want to get really, really intimate and how close I want to get to somebody, I always give myself the test that I got from the Course, which is, he said, love is unlimited communication without fear. Love is unlimited communication without fear. So if I'm always limiting what I say because I'm afraid to say it to you, then I know that I'm not expressing real love for you and that there's not real love happening in our relationship. Now, it doesn't mean we can't work toward that there can't be a goal, but don't fool yourself in thinking that you really have, according to the Course that you don't have to believe, that you have a real love with somebody that you're afraid to communicate with. So you do what? Behave as you think you should without really wanting to, right? I'm behaving as I think I should. What I really want to do is communicate with you, but I'm behaving as I think I should, which is that I'm not. And maybe not because I'm not sure what I want, and maybe not because I have tried to do that in the past and you attacked me, judged me, condemned and criticized me. So you think you're going to really know a person that's afraid to talk to you? You're really deceiving yourself. You're just creating a relationship of fear and conflict and strain. So what do you do with that? He says you make an undivided decision. What? I got to make an undivided decision that I want to be in harmony with myself in this relationship with you. He says it right here. There's no strain in doing God's will as soon as you recognize that it's also your will. The lesson here is quite simple. It's a simple lesson, but you might overlook it. So what? You might overlook it. I'm going to give you the lesson, but you might what? Overlook it. So what is it that you're going to urge me to do? I'm going to urge you to listen because I'm about to give you a lesson that you might overlook. So I'm going to urge you to listen. I'm going to urge you to listen. It's okay. I'm going to urge you to listen. I'm going to urge you to listen. I'm going to give you a lesson that you might overlook. Here it goes. You ready? Yeah. Notice it says, and it will therefore be what? Repeated. I say divine repetition. Repeat it, urging you to listen. Okay, here's what I'm urging you to listen. What is it? He says, the first thing I want you to do is realize that only your mind can produce fear. The only thing that's making you afraid is your mind. I know you might think it's the wars and the conflict and the climate change and the crime or whatever it is that you think is making you afraid. But the truth is, your mind is producing your fear. Your mind is producing your fear. Your mind is producing your fear. Your fear is coming from your mind. 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 Your fear is coming from, you can do that? Your fear is coming from your mind. 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 That's where your fear is coming from. It's coming from your mind. And when does your mind produce fear? Whenever it's conflicted in what it wants. Every time you're in conflict about what you want, your mind will produce fear and conflict for you. Whenever you're in conflict about what you want, your mind will produce fear, and that will give you a strain. You will have a strain. And that strain is because what you want to do and what you do doing is discordant. So how do you correct it? I promised you I was going to tell you, according to the Course in Miracles, how you get rid of fear and conflict. And I have kept my word. Now, whether you tuned into it or not, or thought it was valid or not, I'm not responsible for that. I'm not responsible for your reaction to anything that I say. I'm just here to deliver a message. And I'm delivering it to me first and foremost, because I can certainly see how this relates to me. And if you sit up there and pretend you don't have any area of fear and conflict that needs to be looked at another way, how did you end up here? Since nothing is an accident, why do you think you're here? Well, somebody dragged me. Somebody made me come. You know, I'm doing what I really tell the truth, bro. I'm doing what I don't really want to do. I'm behaving the way I think I should, that I really want to do. I just really made myself feel more strained for this fear and conflict for another hour. Wow. So this can be corrected only by accepting a unified goal. One goal. I'm not in conflict. I want fearlessness. I want peace. I'm not in conflict with that. I want total fulfillment. The Course says peace is total fulfillment. Peace is total fulfillment. Peace is total fulfillment. What is peace? Total fulfillment. Total fulfillment. It's not something boring. Peace isn't boring. Peace doesn't necessarily mean you're sitting in a meditative position and contemplating your navel at the top of a mountain in a cave. Peace doesn't mean that you're sitting quietly and physically not saying or doing anything. You can be in a total state of peace, boogieing your butt off on the dance floor, and be in a place of total peace as much as you would be sitting in a corner meditating. Peace is an internal matter. So the Course in Miracles is saying, first I need to accept a unified goal. I want peace through and through. I want peace in my mind. I want peace in my emotions. I want peace in my behavior. I want peace. I'm asking for peace. I'm sure. What do I want in this relationship with you? I want peace. What do I want in my financial situation? Peace. What do I want in my job situation? Peace. What do I want in my relationship? Peace. What do I want in my body? Peace. Total fulfillment. Total fulfillment. That's what I want. How do I get there? Well, the first thing you need to start doing is what you want to do, and stop doing one thing after another that you don't want to do, and stop behaving as you think you should without really wanting to, but you start it off gradually. You start off doing that in the ways you can do it without making yourself feel guilty and afraid. So if you make the decision, well, I'm just going to do what I want to do tomorrow, all day, like, you're probably not going to be too successful. You want to start, if you go out, I'm not going to go on my job tomorrow because I don't really want to go on my job, so I'm not going to go. Well, you might start off with something a lot simpler than that. I get up in the morning and I brush my teeth before I take a bath, but I really don't like to do that. I think I'd rather take a bath and brush my teeth. Exactly. It's like in little ways that's not producing a strain and guilt, start doing what you want to do. And you'll start to decrease your anger, decrease your rage, decrease your feeling of separation. And then the more you do that, the more great, miraculous, wonderful, beautiful things are going to start happening to you in your life, and it's going to blow you away. We are being told exactly what to do to get out of fear and conflict. Does the truth care whether you do it or not? No. Because the truth never changes. It's going to love you now. It's going to love you in the future. It's going to love you whether you do it or not. It's going to love you no matter how long you take. What loves you has infinite patience. And infinite patience produces immediate results. If you want to see something happen instantly, just be totally patient about it. And it'll happen faster. You all have had that experience of how when you're impatient, it seems like it takes forever for things to happen. And when you're patient, it's right there. So the Course teaches that. And what is infinite patience? Infinite patience is a total willingness to have it. A willingness to have it is infinite patience. You know, people say, man, you were really patient learning how to play saxophone. And I go, no, it wasn't patience that made me learn how to play saxophone. It was my willingness to play saxophone that gave me the discipline to keep doing, because I wanted to play. So I didn't care how long it took to play because it was what I wanted to do. So if you're a person who have a hard time making commitments or completing things, just know that's because what you're thinking you need to do is not something you really want to do. And so that's why you don't have any strength to do it. You haven't made an undivided decision. And that's true in every area. All right. Woo. My emphasis is on how can we use this in a practical application. So that when we walk out of here, I bet you won't be looking at it the same now in terms of what it is you do. I bet you anything, you'll think about it a little bit more than you have before. So I'm going to complete this right now. Oh, man. I bet you a lot of you could tell me exactly pretty much what was the point today and use it. Bet you. I bet you could. So, mighty companions, let's take a breath right now. Thank you for sharing. Let me pass that around, darling. Thank you. If you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, as I'm a full-time teacher of the course, I really, 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 really appreciate that. If you'd like to know how you can do that, you can share with me through my website, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, Square. I'm available, I'm available, I'm available, I'm available, I'm available. I'm available for coaching, mentoring, showing you how to apply the Course in Miracles to some area of your life, that you're ready for a solution, you're ready for an answer, you're ready for a change, and you don't have an undivided will about that. I'm available, I'm available. It's called Clarity Session, Clarity Session. Just go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, www.earlpurdy.com. Those of you who would like to have an astrological, numerological reading from me, that's also available. There are many ways to get information from Spirit. So go to my website, and you can also make an appointment and self-book an appointment right from my website. I'd love to work with you, love to be truly helpful. Don't forget, there's an answer to whatever you think you're going through that will let you have peace unless you're getting some kind of payoff that you're not willing to let go of yet. In those areas of your life that it seems like there's no solution for you to have peace, those are the areas of your life that there's some payoff that you're getting that's more important to you than the resolution of that issue. And you're innocent. Totally innocent. You can see my classes on YouTube as well as Facebook, YouTube as well as Facebook. Please share these videos. Share these videos. Sunday, Facebook Live, Sunday, 1 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook. Please share the videos. And I'm putting that, and I want to especially be helpful to people who have decided that they really see the Course in Miracles as their path, and they would like to have some support and save some time by working with somebody who's been obsessed with it for 40 plus years. Do you know the Course says the only purpose of a relationship is to save you time? It should be speeding you to peace, helping speed you to love. So I'd like to ask you to close your eyes right now. Just take a breath. So what is the first step? What is the first step? What is the first corrective step? It's okay to breathe and just relax. Let your mind go anywhere you want to go. It's okay. I'm not judging you. The first step in undoing your error, undoing your fear, what is the first step? To know that your conflict is an expression of fear. Conflict is an expression of fear. Conflict is an expression of fear. One of fear's expressions is conflict. Where are you in conflict? Where are you in conflict? Where are you in conflict? Who are you in conflict with? Who are you in conflict with? Where are you in conflict? Where are you having an expression of fear? Know that conflict is an expression of fear. So what do you say to yourself? What do you say to yourself? Say that I somehow have chosen not to love. I somehow have chosen not to love. I did what? I somehow have chosen not to love. Say that to yourself. Where you're feeling conflict right now, say to yourself, I somehow chose not to love in this situation. I somehow chose not to love in this situation. I somehow chose not to love with this person. I somehow chose not to love with this person. I somehow chose not to love in this situation. Wherever you're feeling fear, wherever you're feeling conflict, wherever you're feeling any kind of fear and conflict, say to yourself, I must somehow have chosen not to love, or this fear could not have arisen. I'm feeling this fear because I chose not to love. I'm feeling this fear because I chose not to love. I'm feeling this fear because I chose not to love. I'm feeling this fear because I chose not to love. So how do you correct it? How do you correct it? How do you correct it? Correction becomes nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in the larger process. What is the larger process? The larger process is you are undoing, you are correcting, you are undoing, you're letting go of blocks. That's the larger process. You're letting go of your separation from love. You're letting go of your separation from your source. You're letting go of your separation from God. You're letting go of your separation. That's the larger process. The larger process is you're undoing your fear. You're undoing your guilt. You're undoing your fear. You're undoing your conflict. So these steps can be summarized. These steps can be summarized. Would you be willing to hear the steps? These are the steps. These are the steps. These are the steps. Know first that this is fear. Know first that this is fear. That conflict that you're feeling in that area, that conflict you're feeling with that person, know first that this is fear. Fear arises from lack of love. Fear arises from lack of love. Fear arises from lack of love. Fear is 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 lack of love. Know first that this is fear. Fear arises from lack of love. You're feeling a lack of love. I feel afraid. I'm feeling a lack of love. I feel conflict. I'm feeling a lack of love. Fear arises from lack. Fear arises from lack of love. Do you know what the only remedy is? Do you know what the only remedy is for fear? Do you know what the only remedy is for lack of love? The only remedy for lack of love is perfect love. The only remedy for lack of love, the only remedy for fear is complete love. Perfect means complete. In A Course in Miracles, the word perfect means complete. So the only remedy for lack of love is complete love. What is complete love? Complete love is complete freedom. Complete love is complete freedom. Complete union. Complete union. The only remedy for lack of love is perfect love. Know first that this is fear. Fear arises from lack of love. The only remedy for lack of love is perfect love. Perfect love. Complete truth. Complete truth. Complete love is the undoing. The undoing of fear is complete truth. Complete love is the undoing of fear. And where does fear come from? Where does conflict come from? It comes from doing one thing after another that you don't want to do. Fear and conflict comes from doing a lot of things at the same time that you don't want to do. Fear comes from behaving the way you think you should without really wanting to. Behaving the way you think you should without really wanting to. That's what's bringing up the fear. That's what's creating the conflict. That's what's creating the strain. And if you keep on doing what you don't want to do and behaving as you think you should without really wanting to, you're going to start to feel coerced, and you might lose your temper. You might go into rage. You might project on someone else. So what's the problem? You have not made up your mind. You have not made an undivided decision. Make an undivided decision, even if your undivided decision is to not make an undivided decision. Even if the decision is not to make a decision, that's still a decision. A decision to not make a decision is still a decision. If you just decide, I don't know what I want to do about this right now, so I'm not going to do anything about it right now. I don't know what I want to do right now in this situation. So if you say, I don't know what to do, that's still making a decision. I'm making a decision not to make a decision, but to get rid of your fear and conflict. Make a decision. And know first that this is fear, what you're going through. That this is conflict, and fear, what you're going through. And that's coming from a lack of love. That's coming from a lack of truth, a lack of love. And the only remedy for fear, the only remedy for lack of love, the only remedy for lack of the truth is perfect love, perfect truth. And that's what we've been hearing. Listen to this many, many times, at least 4 times. It's through the repetition that you change your mind. It's through repetition that you accept a new truth. It's through repetition that you accept a new truth. It's through repetition. Remember, only your mind is producing your fear, your anger, your depression, and upset. The only thing that's producing that is your mind. So if you're feeling that right now, tell yourself, I must have somehow chosen not to love, not to practice the truth, not to forgive, not to see it another way, or this fear and conflict could not have arisen. Mighty companions, I love you, and may the course, I bet you if I asked you what was causing fear and conflict, I bet you could probably tell me, according to what the Course is saying. Now remember, when I'm sharing, I'm just sharing what the Course is teaching. I'm not saying that that's what you necessarily have to believe or must believe at all. I'm just a messenger. But the Course says a messenger of God has one particular quality that's different from a regular messenger. That the first thing you do if you're going to be a messenger of love and a messenger of this form of the truth, he says that you accept it for yourself. So I have to accept this for myself. But guess what? How much do you think is a good chance I might be believing it after 43 years of doing this? There's a possibility that a part of me is not in conflict about it. And every time I do it, I feel perfect love and I feel peace and I feel joy. That's why I tell people, come to my class because you want to. Listen to my videos or watch my videos because you want to. And it's something you really want to do. Because if you're doing it and it's not really what you want to do, then you're just making yourself afraid and you're just creating conflict. And that's opposite to my goal. That's why I always say, I want the people who are around me to be people who really want to be, and I'm around you and I really want to be around you. So that creates more peace and love for me. So even at the risk of people not coming to my class, I tell people all the time, if I'm not your cup of tea, if you feel fear and conflict and strain and distrust, then don't increase your fear by making yourself do something that you don't want to do. Because my goal is for you to have total fulfillment. And I mean it. Love y'all.